today. Just a gorgeous day here, early February, upper 50s, maybe going to reach to 60 today. And I'm actually been out showing property. I'm actually at Big Ridge State Park here in Union County, just a little bit over the Knox County line. I was over here showing some property, and oh man, I saw this and I was like, I've got to stop here and make a video. And so I love, I can't say it enough. I love talking with you. I love it when you call me or you text me or you email me and you're asking me questions about East Tennessee. And I actually ran a little poll on my YouTube channel last week asking, okay, would you like more videos about selling real estate or buying real estate or just East Tennessee culture? Well, most of you said East Tennessee culture. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of the things that make East Tennessee unique. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, I was born and raised here in Tennessee, but I spent 5 years in Utah. And I recently went back to Utah to visit. So I thought, hey, why not do a video where I compare life in Utah compared to life in East Tennessee. Now, if you've never lived in Utah, you could probably relate your state to what I'm going to talk about. So stay tuned. Even though right now it is nice and warm here in February, just a short 2 weeks ago, we had 10 inches of snow on the ground. Now that is very rare. We don't normally have that much snow. Some years we barely have a dusting of snow, but whenever we do get it, it literally shuts down the infrastructure of several regions of our state because we just don't have the infrastructure. Whereas in Utah, my kids would walk to the school bus stop with a foot of snow on the ground and life would keep on moving. But here, schools shut down, courts closed down. I didn't get mail for like 5 days. I didn't get trash pickup for like 9. So it's a really big deal here in East Tennessee when we have severe weather. Whereas in Utah, they just keep right on going. Might be like that in your state too. Second thing is, again, here in East Tennessee, we have all 4 seasons. And I know there are some states that do not. They go from extreme hot to extreme cold. And when I lived in Utah, it was kind of that way as well. We would have snow starting really in October, would last until sometimes May, and then we would have summer. Here we do have all 4 seasons. A third thing, in East Tennessee, we have rolling hills. Now, other parts of the state are more flat, but here in East Tennessee, it's a lot more rolling. And so we constantly have to think about how the water is going to flow. We're a humid state. We have to think about drainage with water, whereas in Utah, it is desert and it's flat. I mean, there's beautiful rocky mountains, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the areas around the bottom of the mountains are nice and flat. Here, not so much. So you have to be prepared that it will take you a lot longer to go 1 mile in East Tennessee than it might take you to go 1 mile in your state. Fourth thing, so when I lived in Utah, almost every single would be a number and then south, like 2100 south or 500 west or 1400 east. Here in East Tennessee, we don't like to use directional words like that. We would rather give you directions and say, okay, you go down here to the Wiggles and you turn right and you go to a half a mile and then you take a left and go to this. That's how we like to give directions. And when I lived in Utah, it would always confuse me because people would say, okay, you can never get lost because the mountains are in the east. I lived in Salt Lake City. There's mountains everywhere. I got lost all the time because I grew up here in East Tennessee and I'm used to, okay, you go to the red light, you take a right, you go a half a mile, that's how I'm used to directions. But I will tell you here, For the most part, if you say northeast, south, and west in your directions, people are, it's going to go right over their head. We're just not used to that here. Also, again, allow extra time for travel here because of our rolling hills. It takes a lot longer to go a mile here than it does to go a mile in most other places. Tennessee does not have any state holidays. Utah has a state holiday. The state that you live in might have a state holiday. We do not. Another thing to keep in mind, because we have a lot of woods. We have a lot of woods. We have a lot of beautiful trees here. Something to keep in mind is there's also a lot of allergies involved because there's pollen in these trees, especially in the spring. And so sometimes when people move here, they have a lot more allergy problems. I know my own son, for a very, very, very long time, had a strong allergic reaction to ragweed. Ragweed is one of the pollens from trees. Whereas we have pretty clean air here, considering, but we do have a lot of pollens in the air from all of these beautiful trees. Whereas in Utah, didn't really have any allergy problems, but there are certain times of the year where they would have what they call the brown cloud. And of course, you can do your own research about this, but basically it is air pollution that gets trapped in the valley of Utah because of all the tall Rocky Mountains, and it literally looks like a brown cloud. And sometimes it will actually have a little bit of a smell. And I know when I was teaching there, there would be days when we could not go on the playground because the air quality was not good at all. Now, there are days here in East Tennessee we don't have good air quality, especially if there's wildfires burning in neighboring states, and we're getting some of that in. And luckily, our local meteorologists and news sources will tell us, hey, it's a good air quality day or bad air quality day. But we usually don't have that within our own state. It's usually when we're getting air pollution from other states. Tennessee does not have a state income tax. Our sales tax on most items can range. We have two different sales taxes, actually. There's one that is on food that you eat like in a restaurant. It is 9.75% at this time. Food that you buy from the grocery store, it is 9.25%. So our sales tax is a little higher. But overall, we have a lower property tax, and we do not have a state income tax. Utah has 5% on their sales tax, but they have a state income tax. Your state might be like that as well. So something to consider. Tennessee does not have emissions. Now, you can have your feelings about that. I have my feelings about that. In Utah, we did have emissions checks. And so, you know, here you can have a vehicle as old as you want. It does not have to be checked for emissions, at least here in East Tennessee. I think there's one emissions check station over in Middle Tennessee, but in East Tennessee, it's not really a thing here. Oh, another really interesting thing is Tennessee overall. Now, if you're living in a bigger city in Tennessee, I'm excluding those. If you're living in most places outside of a big city in East Tennessee, you're not going to have walkability. You know, one of the things I like to do in my free time is watch House Hunters on HGTV. And I love it when the people on the show will say, I want to be able to walk to cafes and I want to be able to walk to shopping. You're not going to have that in East Tennessee. We don't have a whole lot of sidewalks. And even the ones that we do, they're more in those downtown parts of the bigger cities. So that is another reason why when we have severe weather, it affects schools, because we don't have kids walking to school here. They get to school either by bus or their parent takes them. And so if you're looking for an area with walkability, unless you're getting inside the city limits in a big city, we're not going to have that here. We have lots of hiking trails and biking trails and motorcycle trails. We do not have a lot of areas that I would say are walkable to amenities. Most amenities you're going to have to get in your car and drive to. Many places, even if they are not necessarily rural, but they're not inside the city limits, are going to have septic tanks. I have made a couple of videos, I'll put the link above, about septic tanks. Don't be afraid of them. We have those here, whereas most states, I've had people come to move here and they're like, I've never had a septic tank. Don't really know anything about them. I've always had public sewer. I would say we probably have more septic tanks here in East Tennessee than we do public sewage. I don't know the statistics. That's just my hunch. There's more septic tanks here. And a lot of times when you purchase a property, you'll know that there's a septic tank, but you may not know the location because maybe whoever installed it didn't get a permit. That's a story for a different day. But most areas here in East Tennessee are going to have septic tanks. That is something that a lot of states do not have. So make sure you educate yourself on those if you're considering buying land or buying a home here that could possibly have a septic tank. So I hope this told you a little bit more about East Tennessee culture. Would you do something for me? Will you like this video? Will you share it with others? Will you subscribe to my channel? That really helps me to get my word out to others who want to learn about East Tennessee. And if you have a question about something, if you want to know, does Tennessee have this? Feel free to put it in the comments section. I'll be glad to answer. I try to respond within 24 hours. Or if there's a topic you would like for me to do a video on, I would love to hear it. So please reach out to me. My email is below. So it's my phone number. Feel free to text me, email me, call me, and especially if you're looking to buy or sell here in East Tennessee. Until next time.